Hey, and welcome. So this week I'm recording the podcast a little bit different. I'm going to do it for a YouTube video as well. So if you want to watch it on YouTube, you can check out Stephen Webb on YouTube, and there'll be a link underneath the podcast. And also, yeah, that's it really. Just doing it a little bit different. Just trying to put it out so it doesn't just go out on the podcast. It also goes out on YouTube, so you can see me. You can see me in all my glory, sitting there with my headphones on and the microphone. So yeah, this week we're talking about the 7 awesome things about being paralyzed. And one of the things I like to do is reframe things in life, reframe when things happen to us. And I've been reading this week about the lives of the Stoics, a book by Ryan Holiday. And in that, the very first Stoic, apparently there was Zeno. And him and his family were merchants, and they had a boat, and if I recall, the boat sank, and they lost all their goods and everything. And then when he was over in Athens, somebody said to him, "That's really unfortunate." And he said, "Well, not really. I'm in Athens, aren't I?" And that looked like a great opportunity to him. And then he happened to stumble across a library where someone was reading some wisdom. And he got really into Stoicism and ended up one of the first teachers. And apparently where he used to teach is like the painted porch is known as. And I cannot remember the Italian name for it. But in the painted porch, the remnants of it is still there now, actually, which is just incredible. I had to look it up on Google when I read it to see if I could see a picture of it. Just how awesome is that? How amazing our history. Like 2,500 years ago, nearly about 2,500 years ago. But yeah, he reframed things, the way we look at things. And if we look at it as bad luck, then it will always be bad luck. It'll always be a bad thing. But if we just change the way we see it, and there's positives in everything. And I believe in finding the gift in no matter what happens. There's always a gift. Just sometimes we got to look a little closer, dig a little deeper, wait a little bit of time, but there's always a gift. But yeah, I'm Stephen Webb, and this is the podcast Stillness in the Storms. And I help people just to see things a little bit different, find that little bit of calmness when you don't have it. And I really do believe in reframing things as one of the most important skills we have. And I think it was Wayne Dyer that says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think that's really important. So yeah, this week we're talking about the 7 awesome things about being severely paralyzed. And my regular listeners would know I'm paralyzed just below my neck. I cannot feel anything from my nipples down. Yeah, I said nipples, get over it. I know, we're all children at heart. I don't know why. I still got to laugh when people say words like that. I've still got to laugh at it. I can't help it. It's just the way it is. I'm a city councillor, and when people say stuff in council meetings, I'm like giggling inside, and I'm like, I hope no one can notice. But hey, that's the way it is. We're all children. We shouldn't grow up too quick. We should bring that childness, or childness, is that the right word? We should bring that that softness of the way we see things to our adulthood a little more. Have a little more fun with it. But anyway, going back to the podcast. What's it about this week? Yes, it's about reframing things. Just before we get onto that, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe. That would be awesome and amazing. One of my goals this year is to have 1,000 YouTube subscribers. And if you're listening to the podcast on iOS or Apple or anything like that, leave a review. That'd be amazing. So that would be incredible. It doesn't have to be a positive review. It doesn't have to be just an honest review. You know, if there's something I could be doing better, let me know. If there's something I'm doing awesome, yeah, please tell me that as well. We all like a little bit of flattery sometimes. But yeah, I broke my neck. Nearly 30 years ago now. And that's left me paralyzed. I use an electric wheelchair, and I have 24-hour care. I have people helping me to do almost everything. You know, there's many things I cannot do. I cannot bathe myself. I cannot wash. I cannot even go to the toilet by myself, for Christ's sake. Don't even get that peace and quiet. But the thing is, we can either focus on the things that we cannot do, or we focus on the things we can do. And people look at me as an optimist, and I wouldn't say I'm so much as an optimist, but I'm just like in the middle where, you know, the glass is not half full or half empty. You got a glass. You're missing the point. It's refillable. You know, go and fill it up yourself. I think I've done a podcast about that. It's your glass. Fill it with what you want. But yeah, let's get on with the 7 awesome things about being paralyzed. So, number 1, not feeling my body and some of the aches and pains. Well, I don't feel my hands, really. I don't feel anything below my nipples, as I said in the intro. And so I'm sat here all day in my electric wheelchair, and I lie in the same position overnight. And if you think about it, the amount of time when you sit in the same position, how much it must ache, how much it must hurt. And I remember on the spinal unit, I had several friends that were incomplete. And the difference between complete and incomplete spinal injuries is when you're complete, that means no information is passing that part of the spinal cord. So it's a two-way thing. You're getting no feeling back. So your muscles and your joints and everything, there's no feedback to the brain. So the brain doesn't know it's hurting. And also the brain isn't able to tell it what to do either. So 1 thing, you cannot move, and 2, you cannot feel. Whereas if you're incomplete, you get some feeling, or you may have some feeling, or you may have some movement. You may have what's called proprioception, where you know where your body's to without looking. Because if you think about it, if you move your foot with your eyes closed, you kind of know where your foot's to. You know whether it's bent up or your toes are curled down. Whereas I don't. You know, if I close my eyes and someone plays a trick and they tie my legs up, I'll open my eyes and go, oh, who did that? I wouldn't know. So that's one of the... So it's a bonus. I don't get the aches and pains. And like I said, my friends on the spinal unit, they used to really suffer sometimes. And I'm just wondering whether to tell you this or not. I'll stuff it. I'll tell you anyway. I go toilet for a convene. And it's like a condom, but it's sticky. So they stick it on in the morning and it sticks like anything. Well, imagine putting that off. Ooh, that's a gift. I cannot feel that. And not everybody pulls it off the same way. I can't believe I'm sharing that, but it's too late now. It's in. Number 2, I don't have to do the housework or any kind of mundane task like that. Yeah, I haven't hoovered the floor for 30 years, nearly 30 years. I've made my bed. I haven't. Well, I don't know if that's a bad thing. Really, we should make our own beds. But I don't have to. I don't have to do any of the housework or the dusting or the cleaning. And get on with the things I enjoy in life, reading books and watching Netflix and doing my podcast, stuff like that. Don't forget to leave a review. All the hard work I'm skipping to do this podcast. So yeah, I don't have to do the boring stuff like put the bins out. So that's a major bonus. Number 3. This is quite an important one, actually. People's expectations of me are lower. And I think we all do that. If someone cannot walk or someone cannot do anything, or their chips are down in life, where somebody may look at my position and go, oh, do you know what? Everything he does is, pretty damn good. Whereas if I was able-bodied, they would expect more of me. Whereas if I just do the slightly better than normal, I'm like, oh, he's awesome. Well, that's the way I feel like it anyway sometimes. So the expectations are primarily lower on me. If I literally spent my life sat down watching Netflix, doing very little, spending some days in bed, and just not really doing anything more than just doing that with my life and smiling, happy, just always been polite and happy with everybody. They go, oh, he's awesome, he's cool. You know, he's an inspiration because he's quite happy. So I think the expectations of when you're severely paralyzed or when you've got something really wrong compared to normal, I think the expectations are considerably lower. I think that's for sure. So that's a bonus. You know, whatever I do is looked at as pretty cool. So I can fail badly and I'm okay. You know, I don't even have to go and get a job if I don't want to. I can just do nothing. And that's okay. I don't think it's okay personally for ourselves. And in my last podcast, I spoke about it. And, you know, look, take a measurement of where you're to and do the best with what you've got. You know, don't compare yourself to others, which is what I was doing then on number 3. But people do that anyway. They are going to compare me to other people. So at least when I achieve something, it's like a, whoa, that's a surprise. Number four. I can tell a disabled joke. Oh, I'm so tempted to tell a couple of disabled jokes right now. But in this time of woke and, you know, whatever culture we're in, I don't know if I should publicly. I'll probably, it would either go viral for the wrong reasons or viral for the right reasons. And I'm not sure which is virtuous and acceptable. So I'm going to, I will tell you one thing. And I think this is okay. But, and it was because I used to call myself it. But so my daughter calls me, wait for it. And I've got a cape and I do go out late at night and I roam the streets and she calls me Spackman. Come on. I hope you're laughing because at this point, if I'm the only one laughing, the world's in trouble. Yes, I've got my gold cape and I go out and I'm Spackman. Yeah. I can't do music. Yeah, come on. Hopefully you're laughing. Hopefully you're not offended. It's a joke. It's just fun. But I have some fun in life. Number 5, swiftly moving on. Number 5. I'm disabled enough to get support and get a good amount of support. Then this is quite serious actually. I live in a country where, although my government can be a bit of assholes at times, and especially the current government, they, you know, violating human rights laws for disabled and everything like that. And there's so much improvement, and they're doing so much wrong. I am fully disabled. I am disabled enough that I do get quite a bit of support, and I'm lucky for that. So I think it's something that, on one side, there's always more can be done. On the other side, appreciate what is done. It doesn't mean we should settle, but it does mean we can appreciate. So, number 6, I don't have to queue for concerts and I typically always get the good seats. That's definitely, well, most of the time. We were going to a concert. It was at Pendennis Castle, going to see Westlife. And my daughter, and my partner at the time, her mum, was walking across the grass and she looked up and goes, you got to go and sit with all the disabled people. And she was only young. My daughter's awesome. I'm really painting her in a bad picture now, but I'm not. She's awesome. She's so amazing. And I said, hey, you got to come and sit there with us. And I think she appreciated it because as soon as the warm-up act went off stage and the Westlife come up themselves, everybody started standing up, and it meant she wouldn't have been able to see. So she could sit on my lap and she could stand on the back of the chair and she could see brilliantly, and we had the great seats. And also, talking about seats, I've got a comfortable wheelchair seat. So like when we go to like local quizzes, or when we go to anything really, whether it's a pub or we go to some kind of charity do at a local school, especially primary school, everybody else gets to sit on these little seats that their knees are virtually, they're chewing on their knees nearly because they're sitting on a seat that's made for like 5-year-olds. Whereas I've got my nice comfortable seat, and okay, I look like I'm the only adult in the room where everybody else sat down on lower seats, but I'd still get the comfortable seat, and it's heated and it's got air fans and it's all awesome. So, and we've just fundraised for a new one because it's breaking down a little bit at the back. So I have the opportunity to say thank you to everybody. 2021 taught me a lot really about asking for help and people willing to help if only you would ask for them. But that's a different podcast altogether. And just before I go on to the last one, which is the most awesome one of all, it's the most awesome superpower that I think we have, is I want to say one that I did not put in the 7, and that is having stuff done for me. It's not really a bonus having stuff done for me. People often think, well, you've got carers that do the housework and do stuff for you and all that. Well, I would rather do it all myself because no one will do it the way you do it. And that's whether you're cooking or whether you're, and right down to like sorting my sides out and putting my clothes on and getting them straight and all that. My carer's doing a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong. I don't look too bad today if you're watching on YouTube. Sometimes the jumper's on backwards. Sometimes my trousers are on my head. That's part of the course, I suppose. Joking. They're never quite that bad. They're just backwards sometimes. Not the carers, the clothes. Oh, I'm going to so get lynched for this podcast, aren't I? Oh, I know I am. Just forgive me, okay? But yeah, I did not put it in because often people think, and I had certainly with like the authorities at times where people, well, you've got carers, that must be good. Well, it's not good. You wouldn't choose to have them in your home. You wouldn't choose to have other adults in your home that isn't your partner or isn't the person you're in love with. It's not easy. For carers, been in a home where there's a partner and a daughter and things like that, and a family, and trying to fit in. And we have nothing private, I can't open my post in big. Well, I can, but then it becomes a pain because at some point he's filing away and all those other things. So really, and like phones, it's really hard to have a conversation with people around all the time, and so it's very little private. So it's not great having carers, but I do appreciate my carers deeply. So number 10, drum roll. I'll add some music in a minute in post-production or whatever it's called. I'll add some countdown music. 5, 4. Right. Number 7, and really the number 1 superpower. I've been severely paralyzed. I can go for a pee in the middle of the night without getting out of bed. How cool is that? Every able-bodied person right here now is like, oh. I wish I could do that. So I can literally go to bed. I can have a cup of tea, and then the carer say, right now I'll have another cup of tea, and I can have my water. I could wake up in the night and down a cup of water and don't have to worry about it. Sorted. Yeah. I don't have to get out of bed to go for a pee in the middle of the night. Oh, amazing. How cool is that? So yeah, there's my 7 awesome things I've been severely paralyzed. Here's the thing. I know this podcast is a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh, and we've had some fun along the way. But if you do look at your life and you look at the things that you cannot do, or that set you at a disadvantage or whatever, and you focus on the constant things that are bad about it, your life will feel bad. Your life will feel miserable. You know, I lost my job and I can't do this, or this person can do this and this person can do that. If I was taller, if I was slimmer, if I was... So, you know, just reframe these things. Reframe what's happened to you. And by reframing and finding the gift in it, it doesn't mean it takes away all the bad. Not at all. It just makes things easier to live with, because life is not fair, you know. That's the first line in The Road Less Traveled by Tom Peck. Life is not fair. You know, as soon as we accept that, as soon as we accept that we're not going to be given exactly the good and bad as an even kill, we can start to focus on the good, focus on the positive side of things, and have a laugh with the things when they go wrong. You know, one of the greatest things about being a human is our evolved sense of humor. As much as it is terrible, and I still laugh at the word nipples. And as much as we say in private and tell jokes that we probably shouldn't tell, it is one of the fundamental keystones that helps humans cope with life. And I think we need to embrace that a little more. So that's my podcast. I'm Stephen Webb, the host of Stillness in the Storms. And if you're watching this on YouTube, tap the subscribe and do something with the bell. I don't know what you do with it. You have to click on it and find out. Don't miss a video. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes or something, subscribe or do whatever needs to be done on there, so you don't miss any more. My 50th episode's coming up next, and I try to release a video and episode every Friday at 11 a.m. Help you to reframe your life a little bit, have a little more inner peace. Take care, guys, and have an amazing week. Namaste.